Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Hosted by Ben Anchor. Let's dive in.
All right, so I've been in this industry for nearly 20 years, and in the last 2 years, I've watched something really frustrating happen. Every broadcaster seems to be starting an AI initiative, but here's what I'm seeing on the ground. Maybe 5% are actually doing something tangible. The rest, they're tinkering at the edges. And the really interesting part, they're not failing because the technology isn't there. They're failing because they don't understand change management in the age of AI. This is episode 29 of Broadcast Media, The Inside Track. I'm Ben, and today I'm talking with Raina about why most AI implementations fall apart, and more importantly, how to be the broadcaster that actually pulls it off before your competition does.
That 5% statistic is stark, but it tracks with what we're seeing across the industry. MIT did a study. 95% of enterprise AI deployments fail, and most organisations never actually trace back to understand why.
Exactly. And this is the thing that I think most technology vendors won't tell you. It's not a technology problem. It's a people problem. It's an organisational problem. It's a change management problem. Take any major tier 1 or 2 broadcaster. They've got incredible data infrastructure, they've got budget, they've got executive buy-in, and they'll still struggle with how operations teams would actually use the system. They need to think about workflow disruption and about retraining. They need to realise the fact that the person who's been doing this job for 15 years is now being asked to trust an algorithm.
That's the human layer. And I think that's where 90% of the literature about AI implementation just glosses over. Everyone talks about model accuracy. Nobody talks about adoption resistance.
Exactly. So let me break down what I'm seeing as the 3 biggest failure modes. And these are the things that determine whether your AI initiative becomes a genuine business asset or becomes a £300,000 proof of concept that nobody uses. The first one is strategic misalignment. Organizations start with the technology instead of starting with the problem. And here's the critical part. They approach this like it's just another technology integration. Wrong move. The first conversations should never be about the tech stack. They should be about revenue opportunities. Where are we leaving money on the table? What if we could recover 3 to 5% of our revenue through better scheduling efficiency? What if we could reduce operational costs by automating routine work? When you start with revenue and savings, you own the conversation. You keep it at the business level, but if you let it default to the tech first, the first hurdle you hit, it gets handed off to the tech team to execute. And now it's their problem. It's no longer a business transformation. It's an IT project. They say, we've got to do AI. So they look around and they say, what data do we have? What problem does that solve? When it should be the opposite. Start with, what's broken? Where are we losing money? Where is our competition getting ahead of us? And here's the thing. Look at YouTube. They're light years ahead. They've been embedding data science and machine learning into recommendations for over a decade. They know exactly what you want to watch next. Their recommendation engine is generating billions in advertising revenue because they solved this problem first. They understood that predictive AI wasn't a nice to have. It was the entire business model. Most broadcasters are playing catch-up to a game that YouTube already won. But the difference is this. YouTube built their change management into their DNA from day one. Broadcasting didn't, so now you're trying to retrofit organisational change onto legacy operations. That's exponentially harder, but it's not impossible. You just have to be intentional about it. Then, only then, you figure out if AI is the answer.
And if it is the answer, what kind of AI? Because that determines everything downstream.
Precisely. And that's the second failure mode, technical mismatch. Most broadcasters don't have the literacy to evaluate whether they need predictive AI, generative AI, operational AI, or just better dashboards. So what happens? A vendor comes in and says, we've got this fantastic large language model, and they buy it, and then they try to jam it into a broadcast scheduling problem, where what they actually needed was supervised learning. I mean, specifically with nowcasting and fast channels. We are very clear. You need predictive data science, not ChatGPT. Predictive AI that can reduce your planning error from 20% down to 10%. But looking around any business, there could be cases where generative or productivity AI can and needs to be applied, because it's ripe.
So you're seeing organisations buy solutions and then retrofit them to problems, rather than the other way around.
All the time. And that leads to the third failure mode, which is operational discontinuity. You deploy the AI system, but nobody's actually using it. Why? Because it doesn't fit into how people actually work. It doesn't integrate with their existing tools. The workflow is clunky. The training was inadequate. The feedback loops aren't there. So people revert to what they know. You hear this a lot in the broadcast industry circles. People say, oh yeah, we're doing AI, but trying to pin them down on what exactly, it all gets a bit wishy-washy.
Is that because people are resisting change, or is the implementation genuinely not working?
Both. And that's why change management is so critical, because if you don't address the organisational side, even a perfect technology will fail. Here's my current train of thought. Step 1. Build a coalition, not just executives. You need the people who are actually going to use the system. Operations managers, schedulers, engineers, content creators. Get them involved in the design phase. Not after, during. Because they know where the friction is. They know what will actually work. Step 2. Be crystal clear about what's changing and what's not. People hate ambiguity more than they hate change. And here's the frame that actually works. This is AI augmentation, not AI replacement. The goal is to make their lives easier, to move them from the super repetitive, mind-numbing work, the work that a machine is genuinely better at doing, and free them up to focus on the high-value work, strategic thinking, storytelling, new initiatives, the human stuff that actually matters. When your scheduler understands that the AI is handling the routine recommendations, running through thousands of variables at superhuman speed, and their job is to focus on the editorial strategy and the exception cases. That reframe changes everything. Suddenly, it's not a threat. It's a productivity boost. It's moving them up the value chain. If you say, the AI is going to handle scheduling recommendations, and your editorial team is going to review and override, say that clearly. Don't make them wonder. Don't make them fear they're going to be automated out of their jobs.
And that fear is real.
It's very real, and it's legitimate. So step 3 is about reskilling and repositioning. If you're using AI, for example, to automate the routine part of scheduling, the question is, what do your schedulers do now? The answer should be, they focus on strategic programming decisions, exception handling, and editorial oversight. That's actually more valuable work. You're moving them up the value chain, but you have to be explicit about that. Step 4. Implement gradually. And here's where a lot of organisations go wrong. They see the crown jewels, the big revenue opportunities, and they want to go straight there. Why not find the low-risk, high-reward areas first? Look for areas that are ripe for AI, but where failure isn't catastrophic. Build confidence, build capability, prove the model works, then expand. Do not flip the switch on your core revenue engine. Use a hybrid mode, that's real scheduling running parallel to AI recommendations. This builds confidence in both the system and the people using it.
How long does this usually take?
Properly done. For a medium to large broadcaster, you're looking at 6 to 9 months before you're genuinely deriving business value. That's not a technology timeline. That's a change management timeline. Pilot, rollout, refinement, embedding. And here's the competitive risk I'm trying to wake people up to. The broadcasters who move first through this process, who do the hard work of change management properly, They're going to be running on a different operating system than their competitors in 2026. They're going to be capturing margin that their competitors don't even know is available. YouTube didn't become YouTube because they had better servers. They became YouTube because they solved the change management problem at scale. Every product decision was aligned with their recommendation engine. Every team understood how their work fed into the AI model. That's the operating system difference I'm talking about.
Because they'll have AI within operations embedded into routine decision making.
Yes. Nowcasting for fast channels is a perfect example. The first broadcaster who implements this properly is going to add annual revenue, even modest single-digit percentages, just from better scheduling efficiency and CPM retention. Their competitors will be a year behind them, realizing that was even possible.
So the real window is now.
Yes, and this all I'm hearing about the current conversation in the industry. Everyone's obsessing over generative AI. Nobody's focused on the unglamorous work of making operational AI actually stick. The broadcasters who win are going to be the ones who nail the change management piece. We're not going to out-YouTube at their game, but we can build broadcast-specific operational AI that's far more sophisticated than what most legacy broadcasters are currently capable of executing. And that requires change management first, technology second.
For organisations listening who know they need to move, what's your first action?
Don't start with technology, start with a conversation. Get your operations team, your finance team, and your IT team in a room. Ask, where are we losing money or efficiency today? Pick one problem, and then ask, could AI help with this? If the answer is yes, then we figure out what kind of AI. Then we design the change management approach, then we build the solution. In that order. And if you want to talk through this specifically for your organization, whether you're in linear television, fast, streaming, or hybrid, that's worth a conversation. So much deep experience with impact assessments, software delivery, systems integration, and business transformation. We've run complex consulting assignments across the broadcast industry. You're in safe hands. We understand not just the AI side, but how to actually deliver organizational change in a way that sticks. And there's flexible options depending on where you are. If you want to start with a quick assessment, the AI Discovery Sprint is a 2-week audit to map the automation opportunities and give you a slide deck. If you need something more comprehensive, the Roadmap and R&D Advisory is a 4 to 6 week deep dive that includes vendor evaluations and proof of concept planning. If you're already running a pilot or a larger initiative and you need experienced leadership on the ground, that's best to use fractional delivery lead engagements embedded part-time in your organization, managing delivery, syncs, and stakeholder communications. And of course, for something like a full nowcasting implementation or a stealth initiative that needs a more bespoke approach, we work individually on scoped projects with proper NDAs and governance. The point is, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to figure out change management in broadcast AI by trial and error.
That's the real value proposition.
Yes. As you're not buying AI, you're buying the certainty that the AI will actually work and drive the value you're expecting. And just as importantly, you're buying the change management expertise to ensure your people are with you, not against you.
Episode 29, Change Management in Broadcast AI. Get ahead of the competition. The window is closing.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.